Hey guys, this is Inferno and I'm here with a quick mini guide for the new Criterion dungeon. I'll be sharing the Braindead way to resolve the spring crystals mechanic, which is probably the hardest mechanic you'll come across in the first boss fight. Now this Braindead strat is something I came up with on my own, but I'm pretty sure a lot of other people will reach to the same conclusion after careful observation. I'll be using VODs from Xeno and Rinse fights as I don't have VODs of my own. Now with all that out of the way, let's get started. First things first, there's only two types of patterns. In the first pattern, the boss summons his crystals in two columns. And this is how pretty much that is gonna look. We have two crystals on the second column and two crystals on the fourth column. And then we have the second pattern where one crystal spawns in each column, and that is how that looks. During this mechanic, either both supports or the DPS also get binds. In my diagram, the crosses are binds and the other one is non-bind. Now let's see how both of these patterns are resolved. First we'll go over pattern 1, where the crystals spawn in only two columns. In this pattern, the columns that don't have any crystals are going to be safe later as well. This means we can tell which columns are going to be safe later right away. The inner four squares are never safe, so the safe spots are going to be the outer squares of first and third columns here, as they don't have any crystals in them. Next up we get spreads and pair stacks, and there's also directional knockbacks. Now the two players with bind debuffs won't get knocked back, as the bind will hold them in place. The remaining two non-bind players will get knocked back to their positions. Now we only solve this in one of two ways, depending on if you get spreads or pair stacks. And when it is pair stacks, the pairs will start on 1. The binds will be at the very back and the non-binds will stand right in front of them. The left side is positioning and the right side is the end result. Always pre-position in the safe columns. Now when it is spreads, the pairs will do the exact same thing, but instead of starting at 1, they'll start at 2. And that is literally it, the mechanic will solve itself. To sum it up for pattern 1, the outer squares of the two columns without any crystals are going to be safe. Let's see another variation. Here the crystals spawned on column 2 and 4 again, so the safe columns are columns 1 and 3. Now this one is spreads, so our pairs are starting on number 2. The knockbacks push the non-binds away and everyone ends up in their spread spots. And when it's pair stacks, the pairs just start on 1 instead of 2. And that is literally it. Now let's look at some examples. Here the safe columns are 1 and 3 and it's pair stacks. So the pairs will start on the one side, binds at the back and non-binds at the front. And after the non-binds ride the knockbacks, the mechanic will be resolved. Here Xeno's partner just dies cause they couldn't stack properly. Now here we'll look at a spread example. Rin's group doesn't do it, but because it spreads, the pairs will start on 2. Binds at the back square and non-binds at the front square, and after the knockbacks happen, the players will end up in their spread spots. And now we move to pattern 2, where there's at least one crystal in each column. This is pretty easy as well, and here you're looking for the two rows that have the horizontal facing crystals. The outer squares of these two rows are going to be safe. To resolve this pattern, just like before, if it stacks, then the pairs will start at 1. Binds on the outer square and non-binds on the inner square, and after the knockbacks, the stacks will resolve. For the spread version of this, our pairs start at 2 instead of 1. Binds and non-binds also start in the same square, and after the knockbacks, the spreads resolve. Here's a quick video of Rin's group solving the stack version of this pattern. Now Rin here starts from 2, but he could start from 1 next to his partner and the mechanic would still resolve. So yeah, there's only two patterns with different variations. And that is it. I hope this helps and good luck with your prog. I'll see you next time.